Hello everyone, Sylvan Bell coming to you live from Oahu. I am in Honolulu. It is December 29, 2015, I don't know, 5:30 in the afternoon. And I want to share some things with you about rejection. And you know, sometimes people will come to me and they'll say, hey Scott, you know, I went through this process, I went through the sales process, I went for a date, and like, I can't get the person to call me back. So what I want to talk to you about today is reverse rejection. So, you know, there's a reason sometimes, like if you go out with somebody, there's a reason why sometimes you go on a sales call and the person says, all right, you know what, I'll give you a call back. Or you go on the date and everything feels like it's perfect, okay? And then you're waiting by the phone and you're like, it's gonna be 1 day, 2 days, and there's like that traditional 3-day, 72-hour period for both sales and dating that, you know, you're supposed to wait before you call somebody back, you know, sometime within that window, and like the phone never rings, okay? So what you need to understand is part of it is that the person may feel like they've already put in enough time, effort, or risk. And in their mind, they're like, you know what, I've already put in the time, I've already done everything that I need to. There's no reason for me to call that person back. I'm just gonna let it go, right? And so like, you know, you've done this. I know that I've done it. I'm guilty too, like, right? I'm raising my hand. I'm out here in Honolulu in the middle of winter, nice 85 degrees, and I'm raising my hand saying, look, I've done this too, okay? So that's a time, effort, energy, and risk trap that they're like, you know, I really don't want to put any more time in this, okay? Now, the second reason is they don't want a guilt trip. Now, a lot of times in the sales world, when you call somebody up and you're like, hey, you know, what did you decide to do? They give you the put off, like, oh, we're not gonna do it right now. Now, I was riding with my brother last week and we're in Sacramento and we're going to lunch, and he gets this phone call. Now, he does in-home sales, and he gets this phone call and the guy's like, hey, Brian, that's my little brother. Hey, Brian, you know, this is John, and I've just decided to hold off on my project. And you could tell from his voice that, you know, things just weren't exactly right. So my little brother's like, all right, cool, no big deal. And he says, you know, if I give you a call in a couple of months, you know, put you on my calendar so I can give you a call back. And the guy's like, yeah, no big deal, okay? So then we're driving, and like literally 30 seconds later, his phone rings and he's like, Brian says, hello. And the guy, John, says, hey, good news. You know, I'm gonna move forward and get the furnace through you, because my brother sells heating and air. And my brother just started laughing. He was like, you just called me and told me that you were gonna wait and you weren't ready to do this. And the guy was like, oh, don't I feel like an idiot, okay? So like, people don't want the guilt trip. They don't want to have asked questions. So, you know, they just like, they don't ever call back, and, you know, you're just getting like the behind the scenes of what's going on, okay? And then the last thing is they don't want to be the person who has to dole out rejection. They don't want to be the person who rejects somebody else. So like, you know, you call them up and they're like, or they just never call. They never call because they don't want to reject you. Sorry, I kind of like got sideways in my head there. They just don't want anything to do. You know, they're scared to be the rejecter. You know, they're especially if you had good rapport, and especially if you hit like really close to friend zone, it's really easy for them to not ever call. Now, you're asking me like, Scott, you know, you've talked about sales, but what about dates? I mean, there's probably plenty of dates that you've been on, you felt like you had good rapport with the guy or the girl, and like next thing you know is like they want nothing to do with you. Well, they're scared to call and say, hey, you know, this isn't the right fit for me, because they've hit good rapport and they don't want to feel like they have to reject you. So that's what it comes down to. So there you go. There's some reverse rejection. It happens in sales, happens in dating, happens in business. There's the three main reasons why. You know, there's all sorts of reasons why people get rejected, but those are the three main reasons why there's reverse rejection. Now, if you could do a small favor for me in the box down below, leave a comment, question, or story, that'd be fantastic. To the right, to the left, there's a subscribe button. Subscribe, and then send it out to all your friends via StumbleUpon, Facebook, Twitter, why not even Google Plus and LinkedIn. Scott Sylvan Bell. Only Scott Bell. Someone will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Aloha.